For film industry supporters in Michigan, February 17, 2011 was
the sum of all fears.
That's when Governor Rick Snyder released his budget plan. In it, he proposed getting rid of the state's generous, unlimited 42% film production subsidy in favor of a yearly $25 million allowance.
Just don't like what it adds up to.
The proposal led to immediate headlines state and nationwide, as well as a call to action by high-profile film industry supporters, such as columnist Mitch Albom.
We all live in the same state. We know what economic mess we're in. We want to do our part to it, and if they need to be tightened and trimmed, fine. But what Governor Snyder did wasn't tighten and trim. He took an industry that was thriving, hundreds of millions of dollars, and in a minute closed it down. It was the economic equivalent of pulling a switch and showing all the lights off.
Michigan Budget Director John Nixon, however, says keeping those lights on costs the state entirely too much.
The bottom line is us finance guys understand how to balance a checkbook. And you spend money, you bring money in. The bottom line is these credits spend more than they bring in. And as long as it's an uncapped liability, it causes us some heartburn.
Nixon says he's not surprised by the uprising to keep the subsidies as they are.
Not a lot of people understand the credit. A lot of people think, well, if they pay $1 in taxes, we're going to give them a 42-cent credit. That's not how it is. We give them 42% of their spend in Michigan. Now, once people understand that, they kind of say, well, wow, that's not a workable model. You really have a model where if the Film Commission goes out and incentivizes $1 billion worth of film, we would have to cut $420 million out of the budget. You want to get it to where if they go out and incentivize $1 billion worth of film, we can add money to the budget because of the economic activity. That's not the way it's set up right now.
Albom disagrees. He told lawmakers at a recent House Tax Policy Committee meeting that tweaking the current program rather than capping the film subsidies is the only way to keep the film industry alive in Michigan.
New incentive rate of 35% for Michigan workers, down from 40%, 25% for non-Michigan workers, dropping to 20% in 2 years as our workforce gets more skilled. This will not only save us money, it will make Michigan labor that much more attractive.
Albom spoke with the Mackinac Center shortly after his testimony.
Your slogan changed. I remember a couple of years ago you were saying if you cap it, you'll kill it. If you cap it, you might as well kill it. Now you're saying amend it, don't end it.
Yeah, well, it's the same. So it's the same philosophy. It's just that you can't keep using your same slogan. But I still would say if you cap it, you kill it. I still say it. And that's why I didn't propose a cap. I know that that would have been what everybody wanted to hear. But then the minute they did that, they would be saying, now let's make the cap lower and lower and lower. And we'd get off point. The point is to try to make it a thriving, self-sustaining industry that actually doesn't need a cap because it's so good for the state that the more business that comes here, the better it is for the state.
Mackinac Center Vice President for Communications Michael Jarr says Albom and other supporters are ignoring facts and distorting figures.
So far, the people of Michigan have spent $361 million on this incentive program. Mackinac Center policy analyst James Homan found that the Michigan Film Office in its reporting on 2008 and 2009 credits underreported by $72 million. That's 62% undercounting of what they gave out in credits and subsidies. In addition, the Senate Fiscal Agency found that the average cost per job provided through the Michigan Film Incentive ranged between $186,000 and $42,000. That's no way to rebuild an economy. The lone study to find any benefits from the Michigan Film Incentive was done effectively on behalf of the Michigan film industry itself, or the film industry itself. That's why we need to be so cautious as in the middle of this debate, as we're bandying about numbers and figures, to be highly skeptical of any numbers that are coming from the industry that stands most to benefit from this policy.
My orders are to get the right information to the people who make the decision.
What they're going to have to do is come in and show, if we get this money over the next so many years, we can make this a self-sustaining industry that's going to be viable and create jobs for Michigan in the future. And then the policymakers have to say, okay, we want to invest in that. But it needs to be done in a way that doesn't bankrupt the taxpayer.